These little incidents seemed to be reactions of a team under pressure, personally. Why would you start a fight at half-time? Because that actually is feeding ROG. Why would you stir them over? Because you're feeding Alldritt and ROG.
Yeah.
Why would you not give them the nicest function room and the biggest you could find? Because all of these things would have actually played to our
They wanted
strength.
to. They were already coming over as the underdogs. They're already coming over to Leinster, who are being lauded and waxed lyrical all week about this amazing team. They're already coming over to the Aviva. Everything is already against them. They're being looked at as this team that hasn't a hope of winning.
Joe presents House of Rugby, together with Bank of Ireland, proud supporter of the 4 Irish provinces.
Hello and welcome to House of Rugby, together with Bank of Ireland. I'm Greg O'Shea, and the OGs are in the room. We have Mrs. Lindsay Peat, and we have Mrs. Jason Hennessy. Sorry,
Very
bro.
funny, isn't he?
You had a great weekend, guys. I'm actually hungover looking at your stories. Ye were up to all sorts, and I was very impressed.
Working all weekend. What are you talking about? We're very
Working
busy
all
weekends.
weekend, lad. You
Very
were
busy working.
Basically swimming in a pint around the Viva Stadium is what you were doing.
Work hard, play hard.
And you dragged Lindsay Peat in with you. Did you have a great time, guys? Lindsay, besides the result, we'll get to that. I know you're in pain this morning.
Pain.
I actually am a little bit as an Irish person, and it was basically the Irish team. And I looked up last night. The starting Leinster team was 15 internationals. It's basically the Irish team. And do you want to talk about the result, or talk about how much crack you had first?
Well, firstly, we're going to say that we left scorch marks on the dance floor. Jason mightn't remember that. I don't really either, but yes, we did. And the band was great. I actually found pictures of Jason in front of the stage. I'm going to show you them after.
You and Mary Lou McDonald tearing up the stage.
No, Mary Lou actually wouldn't. I tried to invite her out to the after party, but she wasn't having a bar of it. So we recruited who we could. We walked from the Aviva Stadium to the after party, which took us about 45 minutes. We stopped in Smith's and Renla and had a Guinness out of courtea. We met Dev Toner and Kevin McLaughlin.
We met Dev Toner.
They were in Beggar's
now.
Bush. What pub was that? And, so yeah.
You
So
done
it
a
was
pub
great.
crawl after the game.
Yeah, I robbed a La Rochelle hat and then I look back at the pictures and that's huge regret there. So yeah.
I tried to convince Dev that I was heartbroken. He was like, "You are."
Yeah.
And you were both there at EPC.
I was there with BT Sport and Pitch. So yeah,
okay.
we were looking after that kind of stuff behind the scenes, and then you were over.
You were
with
at BT
I
and you were
was
at EPCR.
EPRC. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Or I'm
You got
pronouncing
that
that
right.
wrong. I might the European whatever.
Yeah.
BCR.
Yeah, EPC. That's the
And
one.
thank you very much for having me as their guest. It was an absolutely
BT.
brilliant day.
Nice one. And you had a great time. Unfortunately, obviously, Leinster lost. And before we talk about all that, right, Lawrence Dallaglio got chatting to Jason before the game, and it's actually crazy how much he teed it up. So listen to this clip.
It's a great thing. So, yeah, I mean, listen, they do go into the game as favourites. If you've only got to look at the way Ireland played against France here a few months ago to understand the way that Leinster need to play. But there's one thing saying it, there's quite another thing doing it, and this La Rochelle team are a tough nut to crack for sure.
Yeah, I mean, we're a couple hours from kick-off now. Obviously, you've captained England, you played in big European finals, big test matches. Around this time, coming into a game like this, like, what are the thoughts? What was the captain going to be saying, and what's the player going to be thinking as you approach that tunnel, as you get out of that changing room?
I think in the bigger games, as you become more experienced, and let's be honest, these two sides have got vast amounts of experience, huge number of test players. They're coached by former test players as well. So in the bigger games, you don't need to say an awful lot. The training is what it is. It's about getting the emotions intact, getting them prepared for the match, and then building it up at the right levels. These players know what they need to do, to win big matches. So for me personally, it was all about the start of the game. And the games don't start on a Friday or a Thursday or a Wednesday. They start at 4:45. So, as you become more experienced, you learn how to build yourself up to be released, if you like, at 4:45, because discipline is a big part of the game as well now. Neither of these sides can afford to be, down 14, yellow carded, red carded, whatever. So that's a big part of it.
Yeah. In terms of those key players and key moments of the game, like, where do you see this game being won or lost?
Well, I mean, if you look at the matchups of the sides, I was just, having another look. It's just so many good players on each side. You could say the set piece. You look at the back row. Wow, some of the best players in the world playing in the back row. European Player of the Year, Josh van der Fleer. You've got Caelan Doris, who's been outstanding. But then on the other side of it, you've got Bottia, who we know how lethal he can be. I think for me, if you stop La Rochelle's carrying game. I think you go a long way towards stopping their momentum. But it's one thing saying it, it's another thing doing it. They are big men, and there's a lot of them. So and look, for me, Leinster playing with pace. They've both got the halfbacks to really unpick defence. Who are the key players? Every single person in this team is key, because one bit of brilliance, one mistake can cost your team the game.
And just finally, score prediction.
Well, I'm reliably informed that no team has won by more than 10 points in the last decade or so. So I do think the home team will win. Losing twice to La Rochelle is bad enough. Losing 3 times would be not just a doubt for Leinster, but also a doubt for Ireland as well. And I mean that in the nicest possible way. This is effectively the Ireland team, by 1 or 2. If you can't close this game out in your own home stadium, then really you start to have a little bit of doubt about what's going to happen when you travel to France. So I do expect Leinster to win, and I expect them to win well.
Sure. Excellent. Thanks, Lawrence. Appreciate it. Enjoy the game.
So you bumped into him on the way to the stadium, Jason, was it?
No, the stuff we were doing all weekend was we were kind of being brought around with BT, like, as I suppose, like Greg O'Shea style influencers, like, I suppose, going around with our cameras and doing some interviews.
I was doing it on the weekend over in Twickenham, actually.
So I was taking a leaf out of your book. I was practicing all week, taking notes, going, okay, how can I be more like Greg? And
now, can I just say, you looked very well. I told you that over the weekend.
Thanks very much.
But
yeah, no, we were chatting to all of them, like, it was a great crack. We were chatting to Austin Healy, Lawrence Dallaglio, Martin Bayfield, Ben Kay, Brian O'Driscoll. But yeah, Dallaglio, as you saw in that clip, he absolutely teed it up perfectly and almost. But it's like, crystal ball, like yourself, he knew exactly what was coming. Yeah. And he was right in the end, unfortunately.
For a while there, I was like, my prediction's going to come true here. Leinster got to about mid-20s points and La Rochelle were trailing behind. But as Dallaglio said there, it was just relentless pressure and they just kept coming. ROG talked about it afterwards in the post-match interview, that they found that they could get up on the maul, but they weren't getting any return. But they kept plugging away and eventually they cracked and Leinster just couldn't deal with it. What do you think, Lindsay?
I think just the pressure, unfortunately, got to them. They had the ball for 16 seconds, I think, was a stat put up by Murray Kinslet over the weekend in the second half, from when the second half started. And if you do not have ball in hand, the amount of tackles that Leinster made, statistically, I think had over
16 seconds?
As far as I know, that's
the whole
what I
second
read.
half? No, that can't be true.
Till they scored the try, I beg you're right,
Yeah.
to the 73rd minute. And it was just, you cannot play any game of rugby without the ball in hand. And I just felt there was times where, you obviously you always have an exit play in your 5 metre. They got some really, really key turnovers. And then they just kicked the ball away. And I'm like, why can't we slow the ball down here now and just put some phases together, slow the momentum, even someone go down injured, do something. Just break that momentum from La Rochelle, because all they were doing was giving the ball back. And it's easy for me to say here, we've all been there. I bring up the 2014 final with Dublin and we were 10 points up. You never recover from that. I don't think so anyway. Mentally, it's going to take an awful lot now. Having lost to Munster last week, and I thought, right, okay, this is the kick up the arse we needed. And then, but there was so little, like Roger's pre-match interview, he was so relaxed. He was chilled.
In his red hoodie.
Do you know what? I was like, is he into putting Munster red on him now on purpose? They're not La Rochelle colours.
I'm pretty sure he got that made up for the weekend.
I'd say there's a little something there now, yeah.
Here we go now. Here, let's bring it
Munster.
back to Munster.
But
how can we bring it back to Munster now?
We'll have a big section about Munster later on in the pod because they have a big game this weekend. Hopefully they can bring some silverware home. But we'll stick with this Leinster-La Rochelle game. La Rochelle obviously won 27-26, 1 point. So over the last 3 years, La Rochelle have knocked Leinster out of the European Cup. And like, it's getting to the stage now. I know we're Munster men, Jason, but it's like, I actually feel bad for the Leinster lads because they haven't won a trophy, any silverware, in 2 years.
Yeah.
Last thing they won was the URC. I think they won URC 4 years in a row.
Yeah.
And now they haven't won anything for the last 2 years, including this year.
Yeah.
And they've been arguably the best team in Europe, but they're just not getting over the finish line. There's something there. Is it a mental issue? Is it coaching staff? Because they're going to lose Lancaster now. There's something wrong in the Leinster camp. Is it just they have this monkey on their back with La Rochelle? What do you think
I think when you want something so bad, the fear of not winning it maybe then like impedes the game management side of things, because like they're exceptional group of players. They like look at their 3 tries that they scored in the first 20 minutes. Like it was absolutely ridiculous, some of the rugby, the line out to start it. But there was little, when the momentum swung, even Jacob Piper then started to give the rub of the green to La Rochelle. So nothing started to go away. Like, I thought the Jimmy O'Brien call for taking Rowell in the air was ridiculous. I thought it was a ridiculous call.
Yeah, that was a harsh call.
He missed we spotted it there. Pat will put it up. Shoulder on head and Alatoa for their try, for La Rochelle's try. I didn't think it was a grounding. I saw a boot under the ball. And I just thought there was little moments where, yes, Leinster didn't manage the game very well. I thought with just when they got the ball back, they didn't break the La Rochelle's momentum. But because of that, then it swung to the referee side, you know. So I just think there was key moments that unfortunately lost in the game. There wasn't one thing. It was just a number of little things that chipped away, and they chipped away here.
Well, Jason, you spoke with O'Driscoll last week about how they're going to win the game, and he said they had to get a good start, and they got the best start you could ask for. They 17-0 up after 13 minutes, like a handful of tries. They scored after 41 seconds, and also Carbarlo, arguably La Rochelle's best player, got a yellow card. Like, you couldn't have dreamt of a better start. So do you think the issue was they got too far out ahead, they got the start they wanted, and then they just went defensive, and they were like, okay, we need to protect this, which is the wrong mindset to take? Or what do you think it was, Jason?
I think it's inexcusable when you look back at that and think about it. 17-0 after 13 minutes. If that was any other team, like, you know, any team in the world, you'd be like, that is absolutely inexcusable to throw away a game at that level at the final with the team and with the bench that they had. But
at home as well.
At home, it's like in their home stadium, like, and it brings us back to some of the Irish games over the years where we were losing those games and we really shouldn't have been losing them. So you do look at, is it a mindset thing? But I don't think so, because I think they've done that with Ireland. They've gotten over that mental barrier, and a lot of them have won trophies and won Six Nations, and a few of those guys were part of that 2017, 2018 team. So they have won it. So, I mean, does it come down to coaching? Does it come down to the fact that O'Gara just had a better drill and was a better game plan? The fact that he was able to get him back up at half time, he was in their ear throughout the game. Also, you come back to the fact that just power game, that relentless power game. Look at Dante's try, like, there wasn't much skill in that. That was just a guy absolutely blowing you back on your arse and going over the line. And that's kind of their style of play. And maybe as beautiful as Leinster's play is in these games when they're not being challenged so much, like, they weren't really challenged throughout a lot of the pool stages. They're rarely challenged in the URC. So, but when you do get to these levels and get to these big games, that's what's catching them out.
Well, you have to win dirty, don't you?
And
I'm just not sure they know how to win dirty.
Yeah.
Like, Ringrose bounced off Dante for that, like, tackle. Like, he still had an awful lot of work to do. And I thought some of the times, like, there was some brilliant reads by him and Henshaw, but then there was other tackles were probably a little bit simpler that maybe should have finished. And as I said, it's easy for me to sit here and say, but, like, it's those road degrees. I thought Will Skelton as well, he started to really chip away. He was starting to get mouthy. He was starting to hold them in. He was just really just goading them. And I was waiting for some Leinster players just take the game by the scruff of the neck. Just start absolutely... Just start, now I don't mean physically thumping lads, but just take the ball under your jumper and just start bouncing off people. Just do something. And I don't think anybody for me really stood up and showed leadership and took the game by the scruff of the neck. James Ryan was a big loss. Johnny was a big loss.
Yeah, they went down to their third choice captain in Gary Ringrose, which isn't obviously a bad option.
No.
But that for Leinster as a leadership group, that's obviously tough to see their leaders going off the pitch. And James Ryan got another concussion. Isn't ideal in the lead up to a World Cup. Hopefully he's not too bad. But do you think it's kind of like the obvious elephant in the room, Johnny Sexton not being in the squad? Do you think he would have been that mental edge to tune the boys in and grab it by the scruff of the neck and get it over the line? Because there seemed to be a few just like decision making when they go for post, where they could have gone for a try. Even the last penalty where Ross Byrne was 45 metres out on the left, like, he has a big boot. Could he have gone for that kick? But they tried to go for the try, and then Alatoa got the red card. Was there just kind of indecision there that shouldn't be happening at that top level of final rugby? And Johnny Sexton would have been that decision maker.
It's easy to sit here and say, look, I feel for the lads. I really do. So it's really easy to sit here and we analyse the game. I've been on the underside of a player, so can I just make it clear, I really am heartbroken for them.
Same.
I can't imagine the hangover today. Just lads, you know, meet up, have some time with each other, just get through whatever you need to do, because you do hurt. Like, you put in so much work for this and you want it so bad. But on the other side, it's easy to sit there. I'm thinking to myself, why didn't we take the 3 points? Because when you have, when you can't rely on going through phases in the last 2.5 minutes of a game and hope for a try, because at that stage, right, it's easy for the opposition to just keep or lift for 2.5 minutes. It really is like you just will do anything because you're holding on to that lead. And then as the attacking team, you're like, okay, quick ball, we need to get it. And you're just all rushes of the blood to the head. Whereas I'm like, settle it, take your 3 points. We would have got the ball back even if we had a miss. Like they would have had to kick off, or we would have, a kick receipt, or we would have scored it and we would have got the ball back. It's just ball up the jumper stuff then. But as I said, I thought myself, like Ross Byrne he kicked well other than the 2 conversions. He was testing the grass. I was like, no, he's going for this here. And then they went for the corner. And like your hooker's off,
Strange decision, it really was.
Wasn't it?
Do you know, I think the timing of the scores, and as well, I think very much La Rochelle played Cup Rugby in the fact that I remember, of course, I left at half time in about 36 minutes to go to the bar because, sure, obviously I'm a Munster man, so I was like, they're fine. They just, Leinster had just kept La Rochelle out. I had a dropout, a goal line dropout, and I was like 37 minutes gone. I was like, okay, they have to get into half time, it's fine. Then I hear cheer, and then just I'm coming up the stairs and let the try in just before half time. So the 2 most crucial scores in the game, they let in just before half time and at the final whistle. Yeah. And that's you can't do that in Cup Rugby. You just can't. You've got to be switched on. Anyway. So could you imagine, as we said, it was 17-0 after 12, 13 minutes. Can you imagine then they go in 23-14 at half time all of a sudden? That half time talk, the difference, what it would have been, what it could have been for both sides. Is phenomenal, and that's probably why, as we saw, Leinster scored their last point, their last set of points as a penalty. 46 minutes they scored a penalty, and then they didn't score again after that. Yeah, so whatever happened at half time,
they essentially didn't score in the second half. Yeah, 46-minute penalty, I think it was.
Yeah,
but it was it was La Rochelle's resilience to get on the score sheet just before half time. Like Dante obviously ran through Gary Ringrose. Now, it's obviously a very tough person to tackle, so it's nothing off Gary Ringrose's back.
No, it wasn't.
But they still had numbers up.
They still had numbers up. Yeah. But then Sutini's try, I was like, how is there such a big gap?
I think they were slow to fold.
Yeah,
because it was a mismatch, and Jesus, they picked the gap very well. And he picked it. He went down Ross Byrne's channel the first half, wasn't he? He got a line break.
Yeah.
He went through Ross Byrne's channel and he just absolutely ghosted. And again, it was, I think he must have bit in and created that. And I'm like, you have numbers here now. Why aren't you all just one-on-one tackling and trusting here? Because that then cut in, just created that gap, and he just were on the back foot again.
But it's so impressive that La Rochelle were able to break down Leinster to that level, to make those massive gaps in your 22. Because your 22, you're not dealing with back 3. So the full-backs coming into the line, the wingers are in the line. Yep. You basically should have 15 people on your feet if you're not in the ruck. And they just had massive porous gaps. And I was like, this is a really efficient La Rochelle team to not let all the stuff affect them, to get a score sheet. And they went in at halftime 23-14, which is like, this game is on, as you're mentioning there, Jason.
23-7 would have been a whole different ball game. You know what I mean? 23-7, you would have been like, okay, we're fine. Let's kick a few penalties in the second half. We have this cup. We've one hand on the trophy. But if you don't fold around in that last minute or two and keep them out, and look, that's what happens in a cup final. If you give a team like La Rochelle at that level a sniff.
And then it was the first points after the second half then as well.
Yeah.
Well, I tell you what, La Rochelle now, to be fair to them, do very well, right? So when they clear the ruck, they keep men on the ground. So it's really not also very, because Leinster are so efficient. They're so fit, right? So it might not have been necessarily that people were falling. I think what was happening was La Rochelle just lie on fellas on the ruck and they create those gaps.
I'm sure you know, Lindsay, that's part of the game.
That's been dirty in the final.
I have told our girls on many occasions, be cynical.
Yeah, it's
not your job. You keep 2 people on the ground with one of you, then we're up 1. Yeah. It's a numbers game here, people. Yeah. It's a numbers game.
We used to train like that with the Irish Sevens team. They'd be like, if you get a guy in the ruck, hold him in there. It's his own fault for getting sucked into that ruck. And it works, as you can see, Lindsay.
Yeah, and we're too honest.
We've done that at international level, and we laud the likes of Peter O'Mahony and stuff when they do things like that, because it makes all the bloody
Munster again.
But we can even see the likes of Furlong or Porter do it at international level, and we laud players when they do that, because you're pushing the boat. You're playing on the edge. Do you know? Having that dog in your team makes all the difference. Yeah, and I think La Rochelle had several of them in their squad, several of them in their.
And they started to kill us at scrum time as well. I thought that was a big key area. We were really, really under the cosh at scrum. That was actually a key turning point, I think. I'm going to say maybe anywhere between 55, 65 minutes. They actually won our ball back on the scrum. And that's, again, another just big chip and a big turning point. So all these little wins that Leinster were getting, they were just giving the ball back. And the amount of good things that La Rochelle were doing when they had the ball in the second half, it's just a killer, and I could just see it chipping away everything started swinging in La Rochelle, and that is knockout rugby.
Big pivotal moments. Try before half time. The first points when you come out of the dressing room as well. It's just two big whammies. And then the cards were another issue. There's a lot of ill discipline. Carbarlo, obviously, we mentioned for not getting back 10 and taking down Gibson Park. But then there was the yellow card that Dante got for hitting Doris high. What did we make of that? Now, we heard in the ref's mic that it was he hit the chest and came up, and that was mitigating factors.
I didn't think he hit the chest.
Yeah,
but I was like,
could have been a red card as well, to be honest with you, I think.
If it was a red card, I don't think anyone would have complained.
No, I think it should have been a red. I don't remember him hitting the chest. He got a fair whack of Dante's shoulder, and he's not a small man.
Yeah, and then we only saw one angle of it, or maybe on the other side it would have been lower, but because the ref's obviously in a better position and the TMO can see stuff. But it still was a very big collision to the head, and I thought all season what we're trying to do is get rid of that stuff.
Yeah, but the TMO had to call Jacob Piper in his ear. He actually had to then go to, have a look at it. And I was like, you were right in front of that. It was a blind side. It wasn't like there was just a whole collision base and people were latching. That was...
Everyone saw it.
Everyone saw it.
Yeah.
And you did not even go and have a look at it yourself. You had to be prompted. So I thought that was strange now.
And you think the TMOs are having a bit too much influence on these games? Because you can hear over the ref mic, the TMO said mitigating factors, he slid up from the chest or hit a lot of body contact or something was the phrase used, and Jacob Piper just reinforced that. So, and I think that happened a couple of weeks ago as well with Wayne Barnes. He heard something over the TMO and just said it straight away. So do you think that the TMOs are getting too much power here, sitting up in the office wherever they are with their computers, rather than the ref being down there seeing it with the naked eye?
So I think there's 2 points to this. One, it's a cup final, right? Refs have adrenaline as well. There's a lot of pressure, I would think, on your shoulders. You're this defining person, with decisions you make. So I can imagine you want to be as fair as possible. Don't take away from the spectacle itself. What I would do as a TMO is call him to have a look at it personally. Let him have a look at it and then say to the referee, do you want my opinion on it? Do you want a hand with this? How you find it? And I think then, because when the TMO says, in my opinion, a lot of body contact mitigating factors, that seed is already planned for Jacob Piper. So to me, I would let him have a look, see what he's seen. He's obviously seen it live. He's now gone to the big screen. He has time to make his own decision and then say, okay, do you have something different here? This is my opinion. And then they chat it out. It's very hard in the moment, but I wouldn't let the TMO give their decision first.
Yeah. That's it. There was another incident as well in the first half. I remember, I know it's not a malicious incident, but there was an incident with Jamison Gibson Park where Leinster got pinged for a knock-on and it wasn't a knock-on. And then he stopped and he got into Piper's ear and he was like, you're not looking at the replays on the screen. And they showed it in the stadium 5 or 6 times. And it was blatant. It wasn't a Leinster knock-on. And he was like, I'm not listening to you. I'm not going to TMO. And you're kind of like, what? To me, it's kind of like, okay, if it's a blatant and clear incident and it's all over the screens and we're seeing the replays, then we check it and we go back and we get the decision correct.
Yeah.
So sometimes, especially I think in a final, and it's probably the biggest game in club rugby is the European Championship final. I don't think anyone would disagree with me there.
No.
And when you get to that, every decision, if it takes a bit of time, and sometimes it does take a bit of time, but is it not better we take more time and realise, well, we got to the right decision in the end.
Let's think, keep it fair and just, yeah.
Correct. We want the best team to win based on the best decisions, and I'm not saying that would have influenced the result, but we don't want to be looking back every week and going, okay, maybe this should have been this, but just take all the bloody time you need.
There was too many of them for me though in that match. Like I said, the Jimmy, the knock on, the shoulder to Alatoa's head. There was just so many little moments. Now I know Gary Ringrose wanted Dante's first try, but actually Dante's finish to ground that ball was excellent. He actually used his the opposite hand to what he was holding the ball in when he was carrying. Yeah, it was absolutely class. So initially I was like, damn, he knocked that on, he dropped it before. But then actually if you see the replay from a different angle, he actually changed his hands. He did exceptionally well.
Dante, yeah, he had a great game, in fairness. Back to the cards. So then he obviously went off with the yellow card, which essentially was a red card because there's only 9 minutes left in the game. Yep. And then Alatoa came down and he hit Colombe in the head and knocked him out. Yeah, I had no complaint really with that. You can't complain with that. He
dropped his shoulder, you can see it.
I still think though that incident, as in we only saw it this morning, looking back that incident after La Rochelle's winning try and seeing Alatoa getting hit.
But it's the exact same kind of movement the other way around. And I only heard it when I came in here and Pat was showing me. Is it public knowledge that it was the other way around as well?
I'm assuming that's going to be out there now. If not, Pat's going to be tweeting it all morning.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean.
So for reference, just so people know what we're talking about, when Colombe scored a try to go ahead for La Rochelle and Alatoa was tackling, a guy came in behind and hit Alatoa on the top of the head.
Yeah.
Just exact same as Alatoa does then a couple of minutes later, but it wasn't picked up.
So yeah, so that probably would have, like, if that was picked up, that would have chalked the try off realistically, because even though the try was scored, there's
Malice in it.
I'm not sure
Malice
they
in it,
grounded
but
the ball
there's-
either, personally. I can see a boot
was
in
a
that
boot
ball.
there.
There was. Thank you.
There
There
was
is
a
foul
boot
play,
there.
yeah. There's a
Thank
boot. There's a
you.
boot
I
there,
didn't
and there's foul
see-
play. So maybe they should have taken a lot more time on that, because that is the winning score at 75 minutes in a European Champions Cup final. You got to take a look at that if you got to take a look at that.
Yeah, thing is, I was thinking that as well when I was watching on TV. I was like, oh, there's a boot there. But then you look at all the Leinster players, the ref is there, the La Rochelle guys, none of them are like, what are you talking about, ref? It's like, everyone kind of like accepted it. So I'm going to presume when they saw that the ball touched the ground. Because
No.
you'd always have Leinster like going, no, go upstairs, Timo. Like you do, you always do. If
Sorry, you're back, right? I love you, right? But I'm a forward. When you're in on your 5 metre line and you're absolutely hitting everything in a yellow jersey and there's just a pile of bodies, you couldn't even see your own shoe, let alone a ball being grounded. Genuinely, you're just hitting everything. You wouldn't see a thing, genuinely. And this is where I'm like, and Jacob Piper was like, he's searching, and he just see, like, if I was Colum, I'd be like, oh yeah, right, there's a boot, and I'm just going to move the ball forward. Like, come on.
I don't know, Lindsay. I don't know. There's a lot of eyes
I know, I
down there
can hear
now.
you. She's clutching at straws. I don't care. I'm sticking with it. It's a boot.
Well, anyway, we can't undo it.
Patrick?
Just one for me here. Could Al Alatoa have been concussed when he made that shot at the end as well? Did he know where he was?
Oh, after him
Absolutely.
getting hit in the top of the head.
See?
Yeah.
This is a
Yeah.
good point, Patrick.
Yeah.
You know, Lindsay, I'm with you on this.
These are all great points.
Listen, you just check out our media for the week, because there's going to be a load of arguments, all put in video sense, which we should have used throughout the game.
So that's it. La Rochelle, 2-time champions, and knocked Leinster out the last 3 years. I do feel bad for Leinster. I know we're taking the piss a little bit, me and Jason here, but we do feel bad to Leinster because they deserve some silverware for the last 2 years, but they have nothing to show for it. So we'll see what happens now with Leinster going forward. But Jacques Nienberg's coming in.
Yeah.
They don't really have many new players coming in. And before I ask you, Lindsay, about like what you think Leinster need to do, there was a bit of post-match drama as well. Did you hear about all this? So supposedly there was words between Sean O'Brien and Johnny Sexton in the tunnel outside the refs room.
No, was it not Rog? Or
Rog had to get
yeah,
involved to
Rog
split it
Sean
up.
O'Brien, yeah.
There was words between Will Skelton and Johnny Sexton, I think, at one stage. There was all this kind of stuff. And Rog was saying there was loads of crap with like getting organised of getting hotels, after room functions. On the way to the stadium, supposedly there was Leinster fans causing a ruckus. What do you make of all this kind of drama, Jason?
I think there's two ways of looking at that now. Like it's one way, it's kind of like, okay, maybe they should have been, if this is true, like them, and they weren't looked after in such a way, maybe they should have been given what they were asked for. But at the same time, you also have to remember that the fact that it was on in the Viva, you're the home side technically. Like, you're going to do these things, and you're going to be looked after a bit better. But I think there was a few different reports. Like, one was where they wanted a function room, but they were offered one that wasn't big enough for them or something, and they got one across the road. And then there was that incident with the handshake with Alldritt and James Ryan. And in the photograph, you can see he kind of looks at him, but I think he just kind of glanced at him. He just felt like he disrespected him.
Yeah,
He didn't.
what happened there, I think it came out, was Alldritt. The translation was misskewed, and what happened was Alldritt, what they thought he said was, James Ryan didn't look me in the eye and disrespected me. What actually happened was James Ryan stared him out of it and like tried to intimidate him. And the translator got it wrong, which is still weird. Like, why would you try and stare it out? It's just tossing a coin. Like,
I wouldn't look too much into it. Like, I think it's mind games. I think at the end of the day, maybe they're a little bit pissed off, a little agree, but they won at the end of the day, so they can't have too many complaints. And these things are going to happen in finals. It's always going to happen in rugby. But as long as, I don't think there's anything. They're small little things. Now, maybe more will come out, but to me, it sounds like small little things that people are just getting their knickers in a twist for no reason over. To be honest with you.
I love that phrase.
Knickers in a twist, yeah.
To me, that's what it sounds like. I don't think there's anything like.
No, I think you're right, but I'll tell you what I think. I said this, I think, on the show, that my biggest fear was actually not La Rochelle themselves, but Rog being the brains behind it. So for me, all of these little incidents seemed to be reactions of a team under pressure, personally. Why would you start a fight at halftime? Because that actually is feeding Rog. Why would you stare him over? Because you're feeding Alldritt and Rog. Why would you not give them the nicest function room and the biggest you could find? Just to, because all of these things would have actually played to our
They wanted an
strength.
excuse. They were already coming over as the underdogs. They're already coming over to Leinster, who are being lauded and waxed lyrical all week about this amazing team. They're already coming over to the Aviva. Everything is already against them. They're being looked at as this team that hasn't a hope of winning. Same again before the match. Every single pundit, every single journalist, every single fan, reporter were like, yeah, Leinster will win it. Some saying, the bookies had Leinster, let's not forget, the bookies had Leinster minus 14 going into a final. Minus 14. So, as you said, and you're giving them this then as well.
No.
It's there, just they're going, licking their lips, going, come on, keep at us.
Yeah.
And what did O'Gara come from? Like, and you know, we're going to go back to again all those bloody years of Munster being the underdogs. And what did it do? It just fired them up.
Oh, it just
made them
fueled
win
them.
games that they weren't supposed to win.
Yeah.
And he lives off that.
I'd love to know what happened with the Leinster fans on the way to the game.
I want to know
they
more
were
about
late
that because I
coming
don't
in.
like that.
So
Don't
we came out for the buses and stuff, and we were there at PT, and they were doing all their links to camera, and we were doing a bit of footage around it, and there was loads of Leinster and our Rochelle fans waiting, and we were waiting there for about 10 minutes going, what's going on? But the Leinster bus had already gone well in. The Leinster bus was in about 20 minutes, and we were waiting another 20 minutes before the La Rochelle bus came. So the La Rochelle bus came, must have been 30, 40 minutes after the Leinster bus. So maybe there was delays with fans, with the bus couldn't get through or something like that. They did get a guard escort, but they did arrive much later than Leinster.
But these were all a team that's relaxed. You know what I mean? See, so I watched Rogers pre-match. So relaxed. Now, I mean, so chilled. He was, obviously giving Jack Hurley shit that he's from Cork.
He was hilarious.
home.
I was in the room. He was hilarious.
Brilliant.
He was just smiling and laughing, having a joke.
Yeah, and then and I watched then Leo Cullen. He was himself, but I was just like, he's not as chilled. Like, you have to be chilled. And like, even Rog say, I didn't want to be the coach I was as a player. I wanted to be more chilled.
Yeah.
I didn't want to have so much pressure on me. I want to enjoy it. That man looks like a man enjoying himself. He didn't once look like he was under pressure in that box as the camera kept going to him. He just kept his team plugging away. And then, he talked about Skin and Donncha Ryan, and I just think he says about the people. You get the good people in first to build, and then you start to adapt them and change them to what you need. And I just think what he's done on his man management side. And a friend of mine said to me at halftime, so obviously we were live at the game. She said she felt something different for Leinster, and the writings were on the wall because she felt that when they went to the dressing room, right, all the La Rochelle coaches were in with their players and firing them up. Whereas Leinster, they didn't see any. She didn't see any coaching staff. It was kind of the players managing themselves, and I found that strange because as much as you're an elite player, you still, your halftime huddles. You go to forward, you go to backs, and you kind of discuss it. So, look, these are the little moments I'm thinking, right, where were your head at? As the song goes, where's
even
your
like
head
some
at?
of the questions that were being asked him inside in that pre-match presser, and they were very just same as the year before, a bit derogatory, a bit kind of like the usual stuff from the Irish journalist, and even the one about the Aviva, and his answer was so good. It was like, you forget this is a home game for me too. How many times has he played in Lansdowne Road? How many
100%
big
special
moments he
memories.
had there? And he's like, when I walked in, he said it was like a time warp. He said it was brilliant for me. So he's coming in and he's relaxed, kind of coming back to his place, and just it was the same as last year. Like last year, everyone was putting him down, and he was like, come back to me after the weekend. Everyone expects us to lose. I don't.
Brilliant.
And that's just the way he is.
Well, he seems to be an expert at man management. I listened to a lot of interviews that he did afterwards, and all he kept talking about was the people in La Rochelle, the men behind the players, the families. And one thing he had them do, I don't know if you heard about this, was he got everyone to bring a photo of someone that mattered to them in their life into the dressing room. They had that in the dressing room. So I think Rog had a photo of his mom there, and people had like wives, girlfriends, kids. So like that's what they went in at halftime and would have seen that in the room, which is lovely. Like, and even after when they were lifting the trophy, they had all the families lifting it together, and they planned an open bus tour when they get back. So it seems like he's really built a nice environment for these guys. And he said one thing he said as well, which really stuck with me, was he's like, he's not going to deal with every player as the same thing. He's going to be like, you're an individual, Jason, you're an individual, Lindsay. If you're having a tough day at home, I'm not going to come in and give you a bollocking. I need to know what's going on in your life. So I'm going to be a bit easier on you on a Monday morning. And even though I might feel better about myself for giving out to you, you don't receive that very well. And he's individually found out what each of his players is like. And do you think half the managers in the world do that? No way. I've had so many coaches in my time. Some of them wouldn't even remember your name. Do you know what I mean? And this guy is literally finding out family issues.
It's very important. Some people need shouting at, some people need an arm around their shoulder. Everyone's different. Everyone reacts differently to things, and to be able to know each player goes, well, he's the kind of guy I need to shout at. If I don't shout at him, he won't move. But the other guy's like, put your arm around him and tell him, is everything okay?
He spoke about Will Skelton being nervous, and he said about giddy. He said, I know he's giddy. He's giddy now. That's his nervous now. How do I deal with him and get him off? And I just thought that was brilliant. And I think that's the difference with when you have such skillful players. It's now the man management to let them just express themselves as a player and create that environment where they're not afraid to lose, they're not afraid to play, they're not afraid to express themselves. And I think we just saw the epitome of that with their comeback the weekend. And look, I'll take opportunity to congratulate La Rochelle and ROG.
Do you see his reaction at full time as well? You rarely see that from a coach. When it goes to the camera, spant him at full time on the TV, like, and he just started going, F yes, F yes, F yes.
Class.
And his like face is almost pink with emotion. So like,
And hard work pays off.
also, what I mentioned before we move on, he did mention once again, he was asked the question and he said, I do want to coach Ireland at some stage. So I think, obviously, we don't, like, Farrell is there and Farrell is doing an unbelievable job. I think because he's done it now, that's another Champions Cup. Like, whenever he wants that job, when it pops up, when it's available, it's there for him, I think, and he will take it at some stage.
Well, he said the best for the job, didn't he? And I think he alludes to the fact that when he's ready, he'll get it, both for himself and the decision.
It's inevitable, isn't it?
Yeah, and he said he's never long term, right now. I think his philosophy on himself, I would think, and I'd say he's changed as a man from what he was as a player. Do you know what I mean? And he's a lot more, I think. He seems happier. He's enjoying himself, and he's not long term. He said he's happy, he's healthy, his family are healthy, and he'll
I'd
take
say
one
he's
day
very
at a time.
happy sitting down in La Rochelle in the sun with
That's
two
it.
Champion
They've
Cup
got a
medals
semi-final
around his
coming up
neck.
though next week, so I think they haven't won that yet. Like, and that is huge in France. So I think they want to win that as well. So
Yeah, but he said they'd be celebrating for the week. He said that they'd be on the piss for the week. Is what
and
he said
then
in
go
one
out and rock
interviews.
out to semi-final. then.
I'm sure he's just playing that up a little bit. Like, if he wants the top 14.
They're
Part
gonna
of me
want to win
thinks he's
that.
actually not.
Well, he might not be, but I'm just, unless he's playing a different squad, because you can't roll out a load of hungover lads to try and win a semi-final.
But sure, he didn't play some of
top
his best
14.
line-out winners. They were starting on the bench, so statistically he'll just go with whoever's playing for that opposition.
A fella that was on the bench was Mr. Alldritt, and we need to give a shout out to him.
So proud.
So good, Irish lad. It was in Connacht. Decided to leave the Irish shores and go over to Rogers La Rochelle. And I think it was because he promised his late mother that he would go play in France again because he's half French or something like that.
That's lovely.
Beautiful for him. Great images of him afterwards.
Yeah.
So he's a great guy. I played with him on the way up in under 18s and 19s and stuff. Really good guy.
He's a lovely guy.
He mentioned him in the thing as well. Is he when he in the match, the pre-match and stuff, because he started the quarterfinal and he started the semi-final and he benched him for the final and stuff, and he was just on about his progression and what he like bringing him over. And when he first came over, like, it didn't start really well for him. It took him a while to get into the team, and he's like, that's something I'm learning as a coach. When you bring someone into a new environment, especially from another country, it takes him about 6 months to get settled and get ready. And I've seen that with Ulton. I've seen like the difference he's made once I gave him time to breathe. Once I said, okay, sit down there, relax, learn everything, understand the culture. And then he became, like, he was on the bench yesterday and then played a key role. He was playing 6 as well in the quarter and semi. So he's been a great addition to him. Like, it's great to see another good Munster man coming over doing a job. He's
a good Kerry man.
He's a Tralee man, you know.
Yeah,
So
good Kerry man. And he was given they all gave their shorts to the kids. Did you see that?
saw that, yeah. They all
After
give
the
it a
game,
shot.
yeah.
The La Rochelle gear is lovely. In fairness.
class
It
gear.
actually
It's
is nice.
class
I
gear.
bought my godson a La Rochelle jersey with his name on the back and number 10.
Oh, so
Yeah,
nice.
yeah, it's
that
class.
yellow just kind of pounces, like, you
Maybe
know.
Roger will send us a jersey or two. We'll wear it next week
It's
on the show.
such nice gear. Like. Also, shout out to Gregory Alldritt, captain and EPCR player of the year. Very well deserved. No one can argue with that.
No, he was excellent.
Yeah, class. So, Lindsay, what for Leinster next? What are they going to do? How are they going to get over the line? How are they going to get some silverware and capitalise on all this domination throughout the season?
I think they need to bottle this hurt right now as motivation, and I think also on personal experience, some of the games I've wanted to win most, I haven't performed as a player individually, and the teams I played with, we wanted it so much you don't perform collectively. So I think, though, as much as we want that coveted like 5th star, we've seen again they're not easy to come by no matter how good a team you are. So I think now we have to go back to being able to win dirty. You know, you have to win cup rugby. Cup rugby, knockout rugby is very different to, you know, going through a season unbeaten. Like, if you think about Leinster, they're exceptional. They've had one loss in the URC, and now they've just had one loss.
One loss, two losses all season. That's it.
And yet they come away with nothing, and that's how fickle sport is. It's the flip of a coin. It's it's just the switch of a blade of grass. It's just small, minute moments that make you a winner, and you're sitting here on a Monday morning with a gold medal wrapped around your neck, or you're there with a silver. And I just think you have to be. I think they need more brawn, and they need to now look at the leadership style maybe a little bit more.
I
management.
would agree, yeah. I think, so they're losing. James Tracy's obviously gone. Sexton, everyone's saying that was his last game for Leinster a couple of weeks ago. Dave Carney's gone. Jacques Niembar's coming in, the South African coach. He might be the guy to just change that mindset a little bit, just tighten the screw to give these Leinster lads that extra bit of edge that they might need to win these finals. Because they haven't won a final in 2 years, as we said, haven't won the European Cup since the 2017-18 year, and haven't won the URC since the 2021 year. So that's 2 years ago, including this year. And it's just not good enough. And maybe they need the likes of, like, thinking back, like, remember, like, Rocky Elsom and someone like that's like a dog inside that.
Yeah.
Or Heaslip even was like kind of like that as well.
Yeah.
Do you think they're just so clean cut and so efficient that they're just missing that dogged edge?
Do you know what I think they're missing now, to be honest with you? If I'm looking at it, I think we're looking too far into the coaching and the players and stuff the more I think about it, because we're looking back, the last time they won it was 2017, 2018. And they're dominating the URC because they're so far ahead. But even in the Champions Cup for the last several years, we have that stupid format of 2 pools of 12, which we've been complaining about for ages. And there's very little competition. There's very little dog in the pool stages. There's very little kind of, you got to go over, you got to win these games. They breeze through it. And we said it before, we said this multiple times on the pod before, that they have too easy of a run because they're too good for their own good. So that when they get to a stage, they don't have these big matches. They don't have much of them. And then this year, then it didn't help. It made it too easy for them. They got to stay in Dublin the whole way up. So they never had to go over and win a big tough game because it was pretty easy from the whole way through. And then when you get to a final, it's like, sure, it's just another day, another final, another win in Dublin, another win the Aviva. So hopefully they're supposed to be changing the Champions Cup back next year. So that maybe might go back to pools of 4 or 5 again. And you've got these real dogged matches, or they're home and away, that make things difficult, where it's not just, well, you win 2 games and then you can throw out the B team or the C team for the rest of it. Like, and you can, they're putting 60, 70 points past teams because they weren't being drawn in tough pools. They weren't being in these little small pools. And the URC, as I said, they're leaps and bounds out of everyone in the URC. Unfortunately, they might get the odd tough game against the South African side, or Munster might push it to them every now and then. But other than that, like, it's too easy for them coming up the whole way, and that
100%.
takes that doggedness away from them. Because, and like, you look at La Rochelle, every game in the top 14 is massive. It's every week in, week out, they're almost playing Champions Cup finals in the top 14.
Yeah, you have a point. There's probably something there, yeah. But do you think also Leinster need to sign someone? The only one I can really think of that's coming up is Sam Prendergast that can kind of fill that 10 jersey. They already have the 2 Byrne
I don't
brothers
think they're missing
there.
any players.
Do they need anything?
I don't think so. If I look at that squad now, I think that's probably the best squad in the whole of Europe.
Well, the starting team was fully fledged Irish 15,
I
all
don't-
capped.
Yeah, but see, I didn't feel Doris was enough in the game at 6. You know, then we had a conundrum who plays 8 for us. And then when Jack Conan went off, he got some, he had a great game.
Yeah,
he got
he's
some
playing very
amazing front football for us. Then we started to see Doris come in, like there was some nice plays off a line out, and then you can kind of see him carry a bit more. Now, I know he's not too far behind. He's had a number of games at 6, but I just
Conan had a good first half, though, on the flip side of the coin. So
I mean, when he went off, I felt great. We got Doris in, but you want them kind of functioning together. But like, it's hard. As I said, it's a cup final.
Got the likes of Baird and Penny there as well. Like, you've got so many guys to try and get that right and figure out who's playing 6, who's playing 8, and when you've got so many good players, so
Bard
I don't
actually
think it's
had a
down to their-
one-on-one on the blind side. I thought Gibson Park was going to get who's the 10 again for La Rochelle?
Anton Hastoy.
Hastoy. He had a mismatch, and I was like, just give him the ball. He's like 2 yards away from the line. So it's those moments where you kind of second guess yourself.
Yeah, their squad's incredible. Like,
It's
the depth of it. Like, their B squad's even incredible. Like, they probably could have gone on and win the URC. I think there's just a little dogged edge they're missing to get over that line. The fact that Munster beat Leinster, like, Leinster's team was better, but Munster just had that dogged edge.
That's all it was.
You know what I mean?
That's all it was.
So maybe Jacques Niembar is going to come in and do that. And I trained under him for 2 years, and he just tunes you in. Like, you just are out there with the right mindset. And he was in the South African World Cup winning coaching staff as well. So he knows what he's doing.
Did an incredible job at Munster when he was there, because when he first came in with alongside Rossi, Munster were absolutely in probably the worst they've been in professional history.
Yeah.
And brought them back up to a semi-final of a Champions Cup and a final of URC, like within a season. So that was phenomenal. So
that's really good, because obviously Lancaster's leaving now.
yeah, he's going to Racing.
He's moving to Racing, which is fine. You do need to change it up some bit, so it might be a good little mix up there, Jacques Niembar. What do you think about Liam Cullen's role, though? Is he signed on for another couple of years?
Yeah, he signed a contract.
He signed on for another year, I think, didn't he? Something like that, for another season at least.
Lindsay, him as the director of rugby. Now, supposedly from talking to the Leinster lads, Leo has nothing to do with the on-pitch training. He just does all the behind-the-scenes stuff, media, contracts, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and I could see Nina Barr just coming in and slotting in to do what Stuart Lancaster, because obviously any of the lads we've had on the show speak so highly of Stu, and Stewart, and how he runs the 3 teams and the training sessions, and they're kind of working at 120%. You know, they train harder than what they would in games. And even going back to that, I suppose you need to be blooded for games to be mentally ready for big finals. But I think a fresh voice and a fresh training impetus and new drills and all that will just reinvigorate them. And it's not that nothing's working. Sometimes you just run your course. You know, Stuart Lancaster made that decision. He needed to move on, and you always need a change. I think it'll be nice for Leo Cullen as well to have maybe new experience in there, different perspective, different views. Different ethos, different character maybe to bring in, so it'll be nice.
It will. It'll be good for Leinster lads, and I hope they're not too depressed. It's obviously a really tough one to take, Lindsay. You know what it's like.
I know, and my heart goes out to them. I hope they're good. We're still very proud of them.
Yeah, we are, of course, and we're all Irish at the end of the day. Like, so, chin up, lads, because there's a World Cup coming, and we need you in flying form. Next one, Challenge Cup. Toulon absolutely smashed Glasgow 43-19, and that was Glasgow getting a couple of tries towards the end of the game. They were incredible. Now they had their star-studded Space Jam team Toulon, like they were just insane. I kept checking, me like, is this the Challenge Cup? Like this should be in the European Cup here. There Parise was there, Colby, Olivon, Villiers was on the wing. Like it was
they bigger starting. A bigger went off, like injured with a HIA, and then they bring fucking
Ohio West
on off the bench, like who's an absolute
winner last year with La Rochelle.
So I mean, like to be able to lose bigger and bring him off the bench, you're like, oh God, it's frightening. But
so they gave Glasgow a good whooping. Baptiste Serin, 2 tries. He was flying form. I actually always had a bit of sadness for Serin because he was the number 9 in France. He was running the show, absolutely class. He was the first Dupont, and then Dupont came in, and Serin is nowhere near the team. It's really sad, like it. But look, he's fine. He has a Challenge Cup under his belt, and he's playing really well. I'm sure he has a nice contract in Toulon, so I'm not that sad for him. Parise also got a try, and you saw him hugging his missus and crying at the end.
I got a video of him hugging. He was coming towards me. I was like, something's going on here. Like, so I was whipped the phone on. I was down on a pitch side after the match. Like, I was like, something's going on here, and I just got the camera out, and I was like, oh, look at that. It was very cute.
What's he crying about?
I think it's his last game. I think he's retiring. I think he's retiring as he finished. Like he's finally hanging up his boots.
Yeah, because
so to go out winning a trophy like in a big final, there was 30-something thousand at that match on Friday. Like, so they've done a good job of bringing the Challenge Cup up to like they did in the football years ago, where the Europa League is actually something you want to win now. And I'm pretty sure I think you get a spot in the Champions Cup next year, regardless of your league position, if you win a Challenge Cup.
As far as now, because Brian told us that last week on the show.
So that's handy to have. Like, so they're looking at it that way. They're guaranteed that now, and they're back in the big competition where they belong next year.
Yeah, but with the Parise thing, he was crying, and you're saying he might be retired.
I think so.
Kieran Crowley, is that the Italian coach's name?
Yeah.
He didn't include him in his World Cup training squad or something, or he announced some squad for internationals coming up, and he didn't put Parise in it. So, and Parise was asked, did he have any comment on it? And he said, I have no comment on it. So,
what age is he now? Like, he must be 36, 37, is he?
No, he's 38.
38. He's around a long time. He's done it. He's
nearly as old as me.
He was unbelievable, and the shape, the nick he's in for his age. He looks like he's still 28, and he even the try he scored, he powered over. Like, that guy could do a job for pretty much any team in the world still.
Yeah,
and what a career! But I mean,
maybe what they're trying to do in Italy is build a squad that's not like, do you know what happened with Ronaldo going into United, and he just was trying to be the man, and the squad didn't develop. Priest's 39 years old. Maybe he'd go in there and he'd be taking over too much. I don't know.
He never got his swan song over. Like, remember the day the game got cancelled at the World Cup where they were supposed to play New Zealand and over the hurricanes and stuff, or whatever it was, the cyclones, and then he never got to play that, and then COVID came, so he never really got his big swan song goodbye with Italy. I think maybe he's a little bit aggrieved over that, maybe annoyed, but
who knows, he might come back out.
He
There's still a couple of months for him to
you never know.
Patch things
up.
I
think he's finished now. To me, the emotion, like he was bawling and he couldn't keep it in. I think that's a guy now that's a weight off his shoulders. I'm going out and I'm getting to walk out of the game having won a European final in front of 30,000 people in Dublin. Like, so I think
he deserves it.
You never get to walk out in your terms, and I think that's the best he can ask for.
That's a hell of a way to walk out.
You know, you don't want to, pick up a big injury now in a World Cup, or you don't perform. You're left with a bitter taste. And I can speak from experience. When I wasn't going to play after the qualifiers, and then come back to play against USA, and we won, and I got robbed a try off Clean Maloney, and you just get to walk out in your terms. I got Barra on my shoulders and brought him out on the pitch. So there's little things that you never have control of. But when they align like that, you just have that feeling, and I'm sure by the feels of it, it's
If you went back and played
his
another
time
game
to
after
go.
that, you would have been like, oh
Nah,
no,
yeah.
it's never going to get as good as that. So this is the time.
Yeah, you know, and I think his time has come.
It just reminded me of, I think ROG, like, do you think there's a little bit of him that's delighted that he's beating Leinster and Johnny Sexton's team, and he's getting that little edge over him? Because that battle, as ROG kind of fell off his career, Johnny Sexton was coming up, and all the anger between them. I saw photos being posted of the time that Sexton was screaming at ROG, and ROG was down on his knee.
Yeah.
And I think there might be a little bit of something there, because ROG also never got his send-off from rugby in general.
It was
Munster
awful.
didn't give him one, Ireland didn't give him one, and he
Yeah.
was actually getting abused by the media. And I was just like, this is one of the best guys to ever play the game. And now everyone loves him again. Do you think there's a bit of that from ROG again? He's proving that he is still at the top of the game, even though he's in the coaching format now.
100%. You like, the best thing you want to do is let your, like, whether it's a player or a coach, you want your rugby to do the talking. I mean, everyone can have verbals. I mean, you don't look very professional. It's not becoming. You just kind of let yourself down. But I think you everything he has done has spoke volumes, and he might as well, have given everyone, the two fingers.
It's kind of like,
it is.
Like,
invisibly giving two fingers to everyone.
Something from the weekend as well I thought was hilarious, because I was with a lot of people that weren't aware of this. So we were at the kind of EPCR breakfast on Saturday morning for the champions, for the European Player of the Year. So there was loads of people there, all Yashvili and Ibanez and Habana and stuff, and they were talking about previous winners and stuff. And I can't remember who I was talking to, but I was like, they were like, oh, when was this introduced? I was like, oh, it came in 2010, but they just named a player like the first year, and they named him the greatest player of the last 15 years was ROG. So when they first brought the trophy in, they brought it in 2010. And they were like, okay, but the European Cup's been on for the last 15 years. We're like, okay, we'll just name one player who's been the best player for the last 15 years. And they named O'Gara. So he was the inaugural winner of the European Player of the Year. For a guy like over 15 years. They're like, yeah, you've been the best.
Yeah.
So you look at that, like I remember like, as you said, like towards the end of his career, I think it was the Scotland game back in like 2013. He had a bad game and he just kind of got thrown out like a piece of rubbish. And then he lost that semi-final against, was it Claremont or someone? Like he was crying afterwards. And he just said, yeah, I'm done.
Yeah, it was really sad. I remember, because I was coming up, I was a young fella coming up trying to make it, and Roger was the man, and he just wasn't getting respected like he should have been. Everything he's done, the way he used to play European Cup, spiraling into the corner in the old Thomond Park against Sale Sharks and stuff. I'd be like, this lad is just on a different level.
He was,
and he never got his parade like O'Driscoll got. Do you know what I mean?
He just got his big balloon and everything. Do you remember?
Yeah,
big giant balloon and everything.
And I'm sure Johnny Sexton will get the big send off. There'll be a bus going down Grafton Street. So, but Raj got his 2 medals.
A bus going down Grafton Street.
No, we love you, Raj. And also Sean Dougal's in the coaching staff there. Skin, Donica Ryan, as you said.
I forgot Sean Dougal's in there.
Sean Dougal's there as a contact coach and a part-time S&C.
Telling you. He's looking after the lads.
Part-time S&C, the size.
Looking after the boys.
Well, I don't know what it is, yeah. So fair play, lads. You're doing great stuff, and Ultimate to Land, obviously, as well. Now, the big matter on this weekend, guys. Munster are going back down to Cape Town. I think they were flying today. I was talking to Shane Daly.
Today.
They're really in good form. They're looking forward to getting down there and getting this done. Stadium sold out. Cape Town Stadium.
10 days before. It's sold out last week.
Yeah, it's incredible. All the staffers are going to be there. I don't know. I'm sure Munster are going to be travelling. People always kind of travel down there. Cape Town's a lovely place to be as well. Snyman's going to be back, hopefully. Murray, Calvin Nash, Fekitoa. So it's Tyke Byrne will be there as well. We have him back. So it's going to be a full-strength Munster squad, hopefully. Lindsay, what do you think? Can Munster do it one more time, get another win this season?
I actually have this good feeling that you will, yeah. I don't know why. I just think you have nothing to lose. I think they have the best away record in the URC, is it, with wins. I think they have been too long out of finals, and I think what Munster men do very well is when they get in finals, they win them.
I love that out of you, Lindsay. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. It absolutely killed me, but you're welcome.
Imagine Munster win the URC and Leinster to have no silverware. Oh my God.
That's the way this year is going. That's how batshit crazy this year is going, and that's how I see it continuing.
Do you remember the start of the year?
At the start of the year, we were like, Munster might not make the playoffs. Like, and now they're in the final, maybe winning the thing.
These were touching on for Champions Cup as well.
Yeah.
For God's sake, what a turnaround.
I love rugby, lads. You know
It's nuts.
Pat pulled up the fact, and you probably knew this, Jason, as well. I'm actually going to ask you first. What's the last trophy that Munster have won?
We won the 2011. I'll tell you why, because I remember watching it. I was on a J1 over in America. I had to watch it in an internet cafe when we beat Leinster in the 2011 final.
In the Magners League.
In a
it was
Magners
called.
League. I had to watch it in an internet cafe. Yes, there was even internet cafes were still around with the last time we
to
won
plug it into the wall.
because I had
Let
no
me see.
laptop, no nothing. I had to go over and watch the match over in Ocean City, Maryland at whatever time. It was a stupid time, and I watched that, and it was enjoyable.
That's so funny.
He's not in
12
some Rainbow Cup final or something. Mickey Mouse.
12 years
or
ago, yeah.
years ago.
That long still.
That's actually horrific. Like, that is so bad. I'd love
But
to
no,
see
I
this.
think-
I'd love to see the squad from that Magners League. Can you pull that up, Pat? There,
I remember. I think Murray and was playing. Was O'Gara? O'Gara was in that squad, yeah.
Murray probably had that spiky kind of weird.
He did, yeah. I think Murray started alongside O'Gara in that game. I think
Earlsey was in that squad.
Earlsey
obviously,
was in
as
that
well.
squad. O'Mahony would have been in that
Axel.
squad. Axel would have been in that squad, but
Yeah.
I think no. Like as you said there's a bit of a buzz. Like I mean, I wasn't on a show last week after, so I wasn't talking it since. But the week before, we were previewing it, and we were like, I wasn't giving him a chance at all, and I didn't. I wasn't obviously Mystic Greg, but look, I mean, going into that match, it's just the manner in which we won it as well. I you can bang on the drum all day and go, it was Leinster's B team, but it was still on paper that Leinster
You
team
still
was
had
better.
to win
was
it.
better than us. It was a stronger team than what Munster had. It was on in the Aviva, and to win it with it, and that was not a give me drop goal for Jack Crowley at all. It was not a give me drop goal. It was everything about it, and to score at the last minute, to keep themselves in the game and keep getting themselves back up after conceding that try, like. There's a buzz around. We're the only team to have beaten the Stormers in the URC away from home since they entered the competition. We did that a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
You are just after beating Leinster. You're going over 55,000 people in the stadium for the final.
We're the
You've got
home
all the
wreckers.
boys back. You've got all the boys back.
Home
Snyman,
wreckers.
Murray, all them
Is
are
our
all
home
back.
wreckers.
That's it.
Munster home wreckers.
So-
Can we do it one more time?
If there's ever a chance, there's a chance. Okay, here's the team now, lads.
I have it here in front of me here.
Read
so
this out now.
I'll read it out
God.
from 15. So this is the Munster team that beat Leinster in the 2010-2011 Magners League final.
Magners.
Magners League.
Oh
lads.
my
You
God.
do well.
Go on, give it to us.
Oh my God. So Felix Jones at full back.
Oh Jesus, coaching now.
Paul Warwick came on for him in the 76th minute. What a player Paul
I
Warwick was.
loved him. Drop goal king.
Doug Howlett on one wing.
The goat.
Barnes on the other wing.
Danny
Danny
Barnes.
Barnes.
Danny
Where's
Barnes
he
was
gone?
playing. He stopped playing like when he was like 27, 28. I think his career kind of fizzled out a bit. Like, but
He was actually
Danny,
class.
he's
in
good.
his
He
round.
kicked Munchins, wasn't he?
I could have been.
I think he
I'm
was
not
Munchins. I
sure.
think Danny Barnes is Munchins.
One of the
Smelling
best.
nostalgia all of a sudden.
One of the best players to ever play the game in Munster. I remember trying to emulate him. Lafemi Maffey
What a
in the
player.
centre.
Holy Lord.
What a player,
What a
man.
star, man.
Keith Earls,
Oi, Keith,
obviously.
boy.
Oi, Keith. Ron O'Gara, obviously. Conor Murray, good shout.
What was
Jason.
Murray O'Gara, yeah.
What age was Murray then? About 20,
Oh,
I'd
man,
say.
he must have been about 20.
He has
Yeah.
the spiky mullet hair. Right?
21,
You need to
I'd
pull
say,
that
yeah.
up.
James Coughlin is actually coaching Toulon then at the moment, and he was there the weekend on Friday. Like, so that's hilarious.
James Coughlin was there, yeah. James Coughlin would have played number 8, was it?
Yeah.
David Wallace is at 9.
What a
Donica
boy.
Ryan.
Donica Ryan is playing as
Skin
well.
Ryan.
And Paul O'Connell in the second row. Paul O'Connell was captain. And Donegal O'Callaghan. Oh no, so one of the lads would have been in the back row because Paulie and Donegal O'Callaghan would have been in the second row.
Yeah, yeah.
John Hayes, Damien
was 6, yeah.
Varley, and Marcus Horn.
Damien Farley. Oh, my God.
Brilliant. On the bench then we'd Dennis Leamy came on and we'd Dupree.
Oh.
Great squad, lads. That is hilarious. So it's been since those lads were playing the Munster.
And Leamy's back in your coaching squad.
Leamy's there as well.
I think it's a sign.
So I'm sure there's going to be a lot of chats
That's
this week
hilarious.
about what it means to win, and all those guys might come in chatting. Paul O'Connell might come into the dressing room chatting to them and just let them know what it's all about. Hopefully we can get it done. But who should Munster be looking out for in that Stormers team?
I think if they can render Libbok, he's their real big playmaker.
So good.
He's so good. Like, he has actually, as the season's gone on, he kind of dipped. He's never, it's still a dip in form with him. He's still world class, but he has been central, especially over the last couple of games, to how good the Stormers have been. I think set piece is going to be key, and Malherba at tight kicks off. I think Libbok has to be rendered. I think Willems, he put him under pressure. If you can get into his head, I think early, get
Both
a few
films,
knocks on.
both films are going to be to watch
Yeah.
out, yeah.
I think there's a couple of key players. If you can kind of get them early in the game and put them under pressure, I think don't let them grow into it. But when they get going, they can give behind the back passes. They've world class players. They've a lot of like Evan Roos hasn't had the best season, but he's able to get them front football. And when he gets them front football, they have some exceptionally skillful back
the
players.
tries they scored against Connacht, some of those tries towards the end were outrageous, but that scrum is a big worry for me because that scrum even got ate alive by Leinster, and it wasn't even Leinster's starting scrum. And they bullied us, and there was multiple instances in that game where they just had to get the ball out as quick as possible before they got chewed up and spat back out. And when you look at that Stormer front row, and how any South African front row, first of all, is going to be good. That's a particularly good club level front row.
Well, geez, it's like the Springboks galore.
That's what I mean.
Dotted throughout. Now, the
I
only
would
thing
be worried
is,
there.
Jeremy Lockman is back, and I thought he steadied the scrum fields last week. Right?
Game.
I thought Diarmaid Byrne has really grown into his role. He's a young player. I thought he was lively last week.
Yeah.
He had a lot of good involvements, and I know you're not as big as fan, but Stephen Archer actually did okay last week.
He's scrummaging more than two out around the pitch. He was an absolute ham, basically. But same with Salanoa when he came on. But they're the kind of things, they're the areas I'd be worried about. But a lot of guys stepped up in that game. Yeah. Do you know what I'd be interested to see as well in terms of the selection, right? So obviously Nash was out for that game, and Nash will be back. And Nash has been one of our best players all year. He's class. But Daly was unbelievable in that game, and so was Keith Earls. Keith Earls came out, and Keith Earls rolled back the years. He was phenomenal against Leinster. So who do you drop? I mean, I'm thinking do you go Earls and Nash? Well, then you can't drop Daly. Daly was class.
But Daly's played the most games and the most minutes for Munster this year. He's so consistent. He's played every you kind of have to pick him.
Yeah.
It's so unfair if you don't pick him.
Tough.
He's basically been one of the pillars of Munster this year on that wing. Nash do
you want a Keith Earls in the final? Someone like Keith Earls who's been there, played all those big games, understands he won't shrink under the pressure, and he's got all that experience.
I'd put him on the bench, right? Because he's utility. He can come in as centre. He can play in the wing.
Good point. What?
So I'd have him in the 23. I'd start Nash and Shane Daly because I think consistently they're really, really good. They're confident, and I think they need to be rewarded for that. I think Earlsy, fair play to him, come back. He hasn't lost any pace. He hasn't lost anything, but I think he's definitely needs to be there for experience. And as I said, because he's a utility player and can play multiple positions, I'd have him in your bench.
What about the centre? Do you bring Fekitoa straight back in and put Crowley back at 10? Because Crowley was good at 12 the last day, but I'd probably going to bring Fekitoa back in and put Crowley at 10 and keep Healy on the bench as a kicking option. I think he's okay with his head clash now, so he should be fine as well. Do you start Murray then? Because it's a big final, and have Casey on the bench? Because Casey was brilliant against Leinster as well.
No.
It's tough,
Game management, Casey starts, Crowley starts at 10.
Okay.
Murray comes off the bench to finish the game off, the same with Keith Earls.
Interesting.
And Haley at fullback, obviously.
Because you need best fullback in the URC this year, I think.
Yeah, honestly. He's been incredible, really consistent. Because the Stormers backline, if they have LeBock in good form, they have people like Zas on the wing. They have Andrew Davids, who was running riot last week. Sabelo Sanatla. These guys are just.
I know, you forget about one, then another crops up. You're like,
I know.
We've Snyman back in as well, don't we? So we've Snyman back in. So if that's the case, then what? Snyman, Klein, Burn 6, Manny back to 7, Coombs 8.
Yep.
So it's going to be a great game because I think both squads are fully fit, ready to go and battle it out for the URC. Stormers are defending champions and they're at home, so that's a big factor. And the South Africans love their rugby. The stadium's going to be absolutely...
Pressure's on them though, do you not think?
Hopping. Oh, it is, yeah. Especially the fact that Stormers already lost to Munster at home. So
do you know what I read actually about that final, which is really cool? Someone mentioned to me, and then I actually did a bit of research to look it up. The price of the tickets for the final. So they do it in South Africa. Apparently, it's a regular thing just to get fans into the stadium. The cheapest ticket for the match for the converted to euro was €3. €3 to €18 were the price of the tickets. It was in rand. So the Cat D was €3 and a Cat A was either 17 or 18 euros ticket.
Amazing.
But that's right then, you've got a full sold out 55,000 seater stadium now because they make it affordable because they just want to fill up stadiums because they had issues before with the empty crowds at matches and they're stuff. Okay, right, let's make it cheap, let's make it affordable. Get in, watch some rugby.
Yeah, I've played in the Cape Town Stadium a couple of times and the fans are just some of the best in the world. They're all dancing, singing.
What's the pitch
vibes.
like? Is it kind of...
It looked crappy last week, yeah.
Okay.
And I've heard through Pat, I'm not going to pretend like I got this myself, that there was a truck event on it recently.
Oh yes, I forgot
like
about
a
that.
monster truck thing.
A monster truck
What
rally.
are they doing? Put monster trucks in the pitch before URC final. So supposedly it's all torn up, but hopefully they can
That'll
pull it
suit
together.
Munster as well, and the weather.
It'd be great for Munster, yeah.
You're not going down, it's too warm. It's their kind of autumn, isn't it, at this stage?
It's still going to be warm enough under though, I'd say. Well, it'll probably be 20 degrees anyway, but that's fine.
Yeah, Habana was saying last week it's like high teens, which is scorcher for us, but cold for them. So we'll see.
So it means it'll be coming nice. The boys be out enjoying themselves, 17, 18 degrees. That's lovely day. That's lovely weather for rugby.
Yeah, give me a prediction, Jason.
Oh, I am going to say that I'm going to back them this week. I'm going to have to back them because I'm sick of not backing them. I'm going to back Munster to score. Munster to win by 5.
Nice. I like it. Hopefully you haven't jinxed it now going for them this time. Every time you go against them, they win.
I'm going to back them this week.
Lindsay, Peat, use all your knowledge to give me a prediction for this weekend's URC final.
Munster by 3.
Is it a drop goal again?
Actually, it could be. Drop goal or penalty.
I'm Jack Crowley, boy.
Yeah.
Yes, I think Munster win by 6 points.
Excellent.
Just one more than you, Jason. Beautiful stuff, lads. I can't wait for that. Hopefully we're coming in this time next week with our Munster jerseys on. And we'll bring one for you, Lindsay.
Yeah. Can we get on to
I'll
URC?
just
Can we
bring
get the
this.
trophy in here next week if we
Yeah.
win it? We'll get on to URC.
Yeah, for
Get on
sure.
to Adam and over URC. Look, we want a trophy here for next week, okay, if we win it.
It's down to South Africa.
Live show. Yeah, that would be nice.
Yeah, I'm sure you've got a replica in the Dublin office. Bring it over to us.
That's it, exactly. And then we never did our Never Stop Competing moment of the week, and I can't even believe there was a question from Pat about who it was going to go to. It
Hanging
was
Pat out to dry here.
obviously going to Ronan O'Gara's La Rochelle. They were 17-0 down, and they came back and won.
Fairness, you
And
can't
that
knock it
is
with them.
Never Stop Competing.
Yeah.
Moment of the week together with Bank
Sorry,
of
Lindsay.
Ireland.
It's okay. Come here. At least we had a good Saturday night. We had a laugh. We made up for it. We went to town on that free bar. Let's be honest.
We did. There was more shapes on the dance floor
So,
than
yeah.
in a primary school. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so we'll be back next week, guys, hopefully with a Munster win.
Oh, this is gonna kill me.
Lindsay, thanks a million for coming in. I know you're upset and hungover. Jason, same to you.
My eyes are open in case anyone's watching this on YouTube.
Thank you so much for listening and watching, and thank you, Bank of Ireland, our partners and proud supporters of the 4 Irish provinces. We'll catch you next week for the Munster win. Fingers crossed. See you then.
Joe presents House of Rugby, together with Bank of Ireland, proud supporter of the 4 Irish provinces.